All right, everybody, we're here talking to the legendary Evangelist Twinkie Clark, and welcome to the Gospel Journey. Is that right?
You.
The Gospel Journey. Welcome to the Gospel Journey.
Thank you, Stephanie.
So we're just going to ask you a few questions about your history, because you are one of our greatest legendary organists, is what we best know you for. Let's start with your humble beginnings as a child, because most of us know that Dr. Mattie Moss Clark is your mom, and church has just been in your veins. Let's talk about your humble beginnings when you first started.
Well, to talk about my humble beginnings, I have to talk about mom and dad.
Okay.
Just like you,
Mm-hmm.
my dad was a pastor,
Okay.
and mama started teaching us and training us to sing in the choir and get involved with the music there.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, she started teaching us at home.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, my dad played a part in that as far as us having to be involved in the music, and then with us having to be in service and at Bible studies.
Mm-hmm.
So it all kind of worked together. But most of the teaching and the training came from home.
Okay.
Of course, you know, we had a piano, and I wanted to be like Mom.
Okay.
She was a musician. What? Is that funny? I wanted to be like her.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Mom, I want to do that. And one day she said, well, come on over here. I'll show you something, then you let me know if you still want to do it, because you got to work hard at it.
Mm-hmm.
So from that point, I started practicing and listening to different ones, different artists, listening to Mama's music, and then the Lord began to give me some writing skills.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And from there, I picked up on my own.
Wow. Now, about how old were you when you first really started, or when you first really got interested in music? Because I know a good part of it is Mom made sure you were interested, but
Right.
when did it really become effective to you?
I would say at the age 8.
Really?
That's when I became interested, and
Mhm.
I stared at her. And then at the age 13, I started getting on the piano by myself,
Mhm.
started picking up things, and then I began listening to other music.
Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to be doing
I was
that.
gonna say, yeah.
Mom really didn't want us listening to secular, so when she would leave the house, we would sneak it
Mhm.
and listen to it.
Mhm.
And I got some favorites. Two of them I will name, and that's Miss Aretha Franklin
Uh-huh.
and of course Stevie Wonder.
Mhm.
So with those influences and listening to other artists,
Mhm.
particularly gospel artists too,
Yeah.
I began mixing and blending in what I started picking up on.
Okay. Now, as a female musician, because we all consider you the queen of the Hammond organ, if you will. As a female organist and artist, which we'll get to, tell us about the challenges that you had coming up and even to now.
Well, it's always been known and always been said that guys are better musicians,
Mhm.
and a musician thing is really a man's thing.
Mm-hmm.
And not too many women were playing music back then, unless they were like school teachers or something like that, doing it in school or on their job. But the main thing is that when it comes to taking over the music field,
Mm-hmm.
a man was given more respect.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lord began to bless people like my mother and some others, these women that were gifted and were able to do as good a job as a man could play.
Mm-hmm.
So I did have that challenge. Sometimes I would go to workshops and it'd be like 12 musicians around me, and I'm the only woman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when we go in the studio, all the musicians that I had to work with and working with the band, everybody was a man.
Wow.
And I was the only woman.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
sometimes it has its challenges, as you say.
Yeah.
Because some of them don't feel that because you're a woman, you should be telling them how to play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you had to deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After a while, they say your work is your weapon.
Yeah.
So after a while, when I could show that I could do the job, then they kind of laid back
Mm-hmm.
and
Start gathering around you. Uh-huh. See what they can learn from you. Listen, I'm getting ready to take you someplace. I'm getting ready to take you back. Now, you went to a light blue school here in the city of Detroit. It seems like everybody that came out of that school could sing dance or play.
That's so true.
You were part of the concert choir at Mumford. Talk about that a little bit.
Wow, I don't get asked that question much, but my music teacher was Miss Beverly Williams, and during the time, I don't know where this is gonna go, but during the time she wasn't that crazy about gospel music. She felt that it ruins your voice.
Yeah.
So when they would have talent shows and things like that, we would sing gospel anyway, because Mama would say, don't be listening to that, is my voice ruined? So it got to a point where she kind of melted down and began to receive us, to the point where at one talent show she asked me and my sister Denise to sing a duet, and then in the chorale, she asked me to lead a song. So at that point, everything was smooth.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, to accept.
All right. Now you mentioned Us, which was the Clark sisters.
Right.
All of you came through Mumford. Talk about the beginnings of the Clark sisters, because you all are legendary. You have a legendary status. Talk about maybe the first time Dr. Clark pulled you guys together to sing. Can you remember that?
Well, is it at any particular place, or do you...
Anywhere, whatever comes to mind. From home, and she made you say, yes, Jesus loved me at home.
Yeah, it began at home.
Okay.
Then we started getting calls to sing at different churches on different programs.
Okay.
And in doing that, the word, thanks be to God, the word started spreading and getting out. It's like, the girls are really good. I want them to come to my church. And then people started giving musicals, and then we started appearing on programs with people like Vanessa Bell Armstrong, Rance Allen. So the more we did, the more the name got out there. But I must say, when we did our first recording, that's the thing that really made our career in ministry take off.
Okay, okay.
And as far as our first recording, that played a very, very important part, and that's with Sound of Gospel Records.
Yeah.
This guy named Armin Baladian was the one that helped get us out there as far as recording, being played on the radio, a lot of TV engagements out of town and out the country. So that kind of made it explode, doing that recording. And I guess you're going to sooner or later ask me about You Brought the Sunshine.
Absolutely. That was coming up.
To that.
We can go there. We can go there right now. Let's talk, because You Brought the Sunshine with those wonderful dresses y'all had on. On that cover, I hope we can find a cover. With those wonderful, colorful dresses. That changed your whole life, I would say, because I remember it was played in the clubs, it was played everywhere. Talk about You Brought the Sunshine.
You sang a lot. Go ahead. It was played in the clubs, it was played in the bars, and it started in Washington, D.C. at a club, and I forgot the DJ's name, but he called a DJ named Frankie Crockett in New York, one of the big, over a million strong. And he said, hey man, I got this song I want you to hear, man. I've been playing it in the clubs and they be flocking in there. So he said, hey man, I like that. I'm gonna play it and see if I can break it. So he started playing it in New York, and it just boom.
How did your mama feel about that?
She didn't like the fact that people were dancing and that it was being played in the clubs, but at the same time there were people who hadn't been to church that were coming back to church, and people were being saved through it. A lot of testimonies, people that wanted to commit suicide after listening to that song or hearing it in the club just changed their whole life.
Wow. Now you have an impeccable writing skill. Where did that come from? And what's the driving force that causes you to write like you have? Your songs stick.
That's a deep question. This needs to be a book, y'all. My inspiration came, first of all, through what I've gone through in my life, the hard times, the good times. And when I hear sermons being preached by my pastor, I get inspiration that way. And sometimes I have my pen and pad and just jot down some things. And then when I get home, I try to put it to music. So one is my testimony, things that I have experienced, the highlights, in our ministry, the highlights in our career, and the success and the blessing in hearing your music being played on the radio. That's such a good feeling.
Oh, wow. How did that feel the first time you heard your song?
I can't explain it. I can't explain it. It's just awesome.
Wow.
When you hear your music being played on the radio and you don't nobody know who you are, and finally it's like, oh, that's the Clark sisters, you know, and the name is just floating out there, slowly but surely.
Wow.
So that brings me inspiration, and also other artists bring me inspiration. I won't call no names.
Okay.
But listening to their music.
Yeah.
Listening to other styles of music. I like jazz. Some church people don't feel you should listen to jazz if you're doing gospel, but I like to mix and blend, because you have people that don't listen to gospel. If you put a little of it in there, they'll start listening. So, and also classical.
That sounds like that's the secret, is to blend. Now, speaking of classical, what's your take on, you got it naturally and you got it from what your mom knew in terms of playing, but you did something that a lot of artists don't do, and you went back to school. Talk to some young people and some people that's up and coming on the importance of going back to school and you know, creating and formulating your craft.
I feel like I should ask you some questions. Some of this is you. But I'll go ahead and answer your question.
Please answer.
Yeah, I went to Howard University. That was my dream, to take up music education. And I went there for 2.5 years. Unfortunately, I did not finish. I got too involved with traveling and trying to do the music on the side, along with learning, working on my degree. So I didn't complete, but I attended 2.5 years of it, and I had to sing in the chorale again, and my professor had given me a lot of recognition, and at one time he wanted me to just stand up and address the choir, you know, about what I'm doing. Yeah. And so I was honored and privileged for him to do that. And then we had to learn classical pieces. We had to learn choral works. And in learning that music, I said, oh, I love that. It's just so special. It has such an ingredient there that you don't hear in the gospel. So I started taking from the classical music and that kind of stuff like that, and started blending it in with the gospel. Yeah. But my influence to play a little classical with the gospel was from Howard University. Oh,
that's awesome, awesome. Now you became the main musician for the Churches of God in Christ.
Oh, Lord.
When your mom was there, talk a little bit about that, because I think you set a tone and a precedent for musicians there. Yeah,
it was somewhat some controversy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We're taking the good, the bad, and the ugly on this.
Yeah.
On this.
Right. And that during the time, some of the male musicians didn't think I should be doing that. Just even if I was Dr. Mattie Moss Clark's daughter, they didn't feel that. Why she always got to play? We can play too. Yeah. You know. Yeah. So I had to fight against that. Yeah. And bear that aggravation. Yeah. But I knew that was my post and my job, what I was supposed to do. But that's a whole nother story as far as her being president of the music department, which the church at our convocation is between 25 to 30,000 people, and the choir would be like pretty close to 800 to 1,000, and it was a lot of hard work and all those rehearsals, and Mama would keep us there half the night, all of that. But and another thing, she made us learn hymns, and the choir didn't like it. Sometimes I didn't like it. Yeah. But she said, you're going to do both, the hard gospel and the hymns. So.
Now, the Clark sisters, and even you, and I'm going to get to your solo career, even you all have a sound that is trying to be duplicated by many. Can you think back maybe to grandma, great-grandma, you know, just how was this sound created? And I want to say your group was the first group to start doing runs and, you know, tricks with your voice. And now we see people like Mary J. Blige and people like that is trying to copycat the Clark sisters even still today. What, can you think where that sound come from? Or it's just who you are?
Huh?
Or is it just who you are?
I think it's just who we are,
Mm-hmm.
but it's being inspired
Mm-hmm.
from somebody else.
Okay.
And Mary J. Blige is an excellent example.
Mm-hmm.
She did say she loves us and that she listens to our music before she goes in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And now I understand Beyonce
Yeah.
says that about us too, and look where she is
Uh-huh.
on top.
Mm-hmm.
And the inspiration we get, the inspiration they get from us, we get inspiration from other people too.
Mhm.
So I think that's how that sound came.
Yeah, yeah.
And Mama would always say, now y'all can do them runs and all that stuff, but don't be doing too much, you take away from the spirit.
Uh-huh. You got a lot of good lessons from Mama.
Right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then when they do the steps, you know, the sisters would make up some steps.
Uh-huh.
She said, don't be moving too much now. Y'all doing too much twists and turns.
What would your mother say about the music world today? What do you think she would say today?
Oh, she would be very critical.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she would receive praise and worship more
Uh-huh.
than regular choir music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She feels like the choir is where we started.
Yeah.
And now they've gotten away from that and
Mm-hmm.
they put more emphasis on praise and worship. As far as contemporary gospel,
Uh-huh.
she would say it's trash.
Really?
And there's no spirit in it nowhere.
Wow. That's what she
That's
said.
what she was saying.
Wow, wow. All right, I'm going to pull you somewhere else. I'm going to get you
Oh,
out
I
of that.
thought you was telling me you through now, you can get
No,
up.
no. I want to pull you to where you are today. You've gone from being with the Clark sisters, always a Clark sister. Although all of you have went sort of your different paths at different times, and you've established your own solo career. Of course, you've established a great solo career. Talk about the difference between working as a group and working on your own.
You have more freedom
Mm-hmm.
when you work on your own. When you're with a group, you have to kind of compromise. And, you know, when each sister has a different style of singing,
Mm-hmm.
you got to kind of cater to that person's style.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to fix it so that, you know, one won't feel like you outdoing me or I'm being left out, you
Mhm.
know. And then you can't give a real funky, hard driving song to the sister that sings soft and mellow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it can be challenging, but it works.
Mhm.
It works out if you compromise.
Mm-hmm.
Give up your own feelings, give up your own
Mhm.
time to shine.
Yeah, yeah.
To let one of them shine.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so.
Who is Twinkie Clark today as opposed to
Sure, it
yesterday?
should have been a book. No, I'm just kidding. Like the Rim said, no, I'm just kidding.
Who is Twinkie Clark today?
Twinkie Clark is more of an evangelist.
Mm-hmm.
I love music. That's my heart. That's my life. But it's more important to me to pray
Mm-hmm.
and to hear from God,
Mhm.
hear from God,
Mhm.
and hear the word.
Yeah.
That's what. So evangelism. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's more important to me to be an evangelist now than a musician
Okay.
because I can reach so many more
Mhm.
people
Mm-hmm.
that way. And my prayer life has a lot to do with what's going to happen in the ministry next. And in order for me to go to the next level,
Mm-hmm.
those two emphases have to be, you know, in my life daily.
Mm-hmm.
And that's having a good prayer life and being consecrated
Mm-hmm.
and having the anointing
Yeah.
and then hearing the word.
Mm-hmm. What is your next level? What do you see?
Wow. My next level is retirement.
Ain't nothing wrong with
I can't
that.
believe I said that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. How long have you been doing this? You've been doing this.
Over 45 years.
Yeah.
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 But my next level is to reach more secular people
Mm-hmm.
and classical.
Mm-hmm.
If I can do some work with one classical artist,
Oh.
that would be like a dream.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And finally, what would you say? I need you to encourage some up and coming artists because this is the history of gospel music from legends point of view, what would you say to new artists that's up and coming, and what should they incorporate in their music today that you don't see?
I would say always be involved in church. Get involved, even if it's on the praise team or working with the children, something. Be involved at your church. You can't go wrong with that. And just trying to finish your question. The ones up and coming. Okay. And the other thing is, if you really want to put out a CD or record, get with somebody that knows the business, and get with somebody that has been successful, like Pastor Winans. That's a good example of somebody that's been successful at both, being a pastor and a recording artist. So go around that and be involved at your church.
Okay.